Hey, my name is Quentin Merritt.
I'm a mathematician and a physicist here, a double major. Gender identity disorder, that's the DSM-4, bro. We use the DSM-5 now for psychologists to be able to talk
I literally
about...
cited the DSM-5 in the speech, and it's called gender dysphoria, which is the term that I use throughout the speech, not gender identity
disorder. You sound like a
disorder,
bozo, bro. And you get no pussy, and you can't even make your wife, bro, so what's good?
I was awarded the National Science Foundation Graduate Research Fellowship, and I'm a double major in mathematics and physics. This is what Black excellence looks like.
Welcome back to the channel. This is Anna's Thoughts and Musical Parodies, and I am Anna, your hostess. Thank you so much for being here today. I'd like to give a quick shout out to my friend Kathy, who recently purchased this More Than a Conqueror's tote bag from the merch store, which is linked in the description of every video. You can head over there to check out all of the fun stuff that I have to offer. Thank you so much in advance to anyone who decides to support, and now let's get all the way into the video. So a few days ago, Ben Shapiro gave a speech at the University of North Carolina, Greensboro for the Young Americans Foundation.
Well, thank you all. Thank you so much for coming. I want to first say thank you to Fred and Linda Allen for sponsoring this lecture, and for Young Americans Foundation for making it happen, to the UNCG group that made this happen by apparently just posting a flyer that said men cannot become women.
But as if that weren't exciting enough on its own, this young mathematician and physicist, Quentin Merritt, was there in the audience to spice things up even more. And as you can see, he's not sorry about it.
Hey, my name is Quentin Merritt, and I just roasted Ben Shapiro.
And not only did he heckle Ben Shapiro in the way that only an immature, childlike person would.
So I think I'm pretty, qualified to say that most of what you're saying is based on, old data. But my question to you, and so I want you all to realize that.
Last month, but sure.
For example, gender identity disorder, that's the DSM-4, bro. We use the DSM-5 now for psychologists to be able to talk about...
I literally cited the DSM-5 in the speech, and it's called gender dysphoria, which is the term that I use throughout the speech, not gender identity disorder.
You sound like a bozo, bro. So what's good?
But he also, in my opinion, seems to be the latest hate crime hoaxer, seeming to try to walk in the shoes of Jussie Smollett himself.
I'm going to give you some background about my experience at the event. I went with a friend, and we strolled through campus to get to the gym, waited patiently in line, shuffled through security, all to get to the biggest and most controversial event of our time in college, Ben Shapiro at UNCG. And as we walked down the stairs and tried to squeeze into our seats and settle in for the event, we hear someone yell, "I fucking hate minorities," just like that. My friend and I immediately looked at one another with shock. Him wide-eyed, looking at my black skin, and me uncomfortably staring at his brown skin against the sea of white faces that surrounded us. I mean, that was to be expected, given Ben Shapiro's demographic. But what I did not expect was the lack of response to the hateful statement that resounded in my ears. No one batted an eye or turned their head, except for us.
Here's a comment from someone who said that they were at the event. What I can tell you with certainty is that no one yelled, "I effing hate minorities." Security was very present and escorted anyone out who shouted obscenities or really anything for that matter. He was not the only minority student in attendance, and I assure you if anyone had yelled this, security would have been on them in a matter of seconds. Now, of course, I don't have any hard evidence that this person was actually there in the audience, but in this day and age, nobody is going to let that fly. The pushback and reaction by the public and society in general could ruin them, and most people don't even think that way anyway. Someone who did think that way probably wouldn't use such politically correct terminology, and this just really seems eerily similar to Jussie Smollett walking through Chicago minding his own business when somebody yells out something that sounds very unlikely. And speaking of our friend Jussie, he just released a song called "Thank You God," with the intention of maintaining his innocence and donating to causes. I have a feeling he'll probably donate just as much as BLM did. But yeah, the song is posted through the link in his bio on his Instagram page, and it basically just asserts through the lyrics that all of his character traits and the ways that he is that are obvious to anyone with a brain are actually the complete opposite of reality. It's pretty hilarious. Check it out. It starts off, channeling these thoughts the best way I know how. Love you, Jussie.
Like they hell-bent, not solving a crime, taking out the elements of race and trans and homophobia that's straight taking lives, but turn around and act like I'm the one that killed the strides.
Yep, you sure were. Should have been in jail a lot longer than a few days.
Maybe we stick together, maybe we read more, instead of saying that it's above me now. Brother, you sure? I can't be mad, take my ego out.
That's hilarious. Jussie taking his ego out.
Some people searching for fame, some people chasing that clout. Just remember this ain't that situation. You think I'm stupid enough to keep my reputation?
Yes, unfortunately, I actually do.
Just simply to look like a victim, like it's something fun. I better look at someone else, you got the wrong one.
Sure, Jussie, whatever you say, buddy. I'm sure that's correct. But yeah, it does seem to me that he inspired Quentin Merritt to walk in his shoes. The kid also says that he is queer and he's also black.
Marginalized people should not be expected to be docile or respectful to the individuals aiming to reverse the progress we have fought so hard to gain. Rather, we must be bold and speak out and find ways to dismantle oppression by any means necessary. And if engaging with Ben Shapiro is the avenue that I had to take to fight injustice and spread this message, then it was well worth it. Black power, brown power, queer power, trans power. Remember, there is no liberation for any of us marginalized people if there's only liberation for one of us. We must work together if we're going to achieve an equitable society for all of us. Thank you so much for your time.
The only semi-reasonable thing, in my opinion, that this kid did say was this.
Sadly, I do have to agree with one point that Ben made about me. He's right. I'm not a biologist. And that's the point. Neither is he. So in reality, the people in that audience should be listening to neither of us, regardless of our personal accolades or achievements, and should actually listen to the biologists and psychologists doing the real research in these areas.
I say it was only semi-reasonable, though, because, frankly, I don't believe that you have to be a biologist to know the difference between a male and a female. It's like an intuitive thing that even children know. But also, Ben Shapiro did cite evidence from the DSM-5 from as recently as a month ago, so, he was good either way. But I would love to know what all of you think, so let me know in the comments. Thank you again so much for being here today. Since you liked the video enough to make it all the way to the end, don't forget to click the thumbs up and share with somebody else who would also find it interesting. Leave your comments below and we'll all have a conversation. If you really enjoyed it, check out the links in the description for several different ways that you can support. Have a wonderful night, afternoon, morning, evening, whatever time zone you're in, and I'll see you next time.